Potter has finished his warm-up. There's the long throw down to second base. Umpire Bill Summers is dusting off home plate, and the 8th inning of the second World Series game of 1948 will get underway. Cleveland, 3 runs, 7 hits, 1 error. The Braves, 1 run, 6 hits, 2 errors. The Cleveland error set the stage for an unearned run the Braves were not damaging. Potter winds up. He pitches, and the first one is close to Keltner. Ball 1. That spun him out of the batter's box. He reaches down to rub some dirt into his hands, and he goes back in to take another toe hold. They play him deep to the left. Potter takes his windup. There's a ground ball that goes by the mound to the left. Al Dark is up with it, throws over to first base for the out. Torgerson one-hands it, and Potter has retired Keltner on a grounder to short. Larry Doby comes up. His double in the second inning was a thing of beauty. It was one of those hard, low line smashes directly between McCormick, the center fielder, and Rickard in left, and only McCormick's speed got him in front of the ball before Doby was able to take more than 2 bases. Doby has a double, a single, and a strikeout. Potter delivers. Low, ball 1. Potter's right-handed screwball acts like a left-handed curveball against a left-handed batter. 1 ball, no strikes. The pitch, outside. That one broke down in the dirt, and the count is 2-0. Doby stayed away from it. The Braves have a lead of 1 game in the series. The Indians have a lead of 3-1 in this one. Here's the windup. Outside, ball 3. Potter has missed the plate with 3 successive pitches. The outfield is playing Doby just a little to the left of center. The 3-0 pitch. Coming up. Strike called. He threaded the needle with a fastball. Doby took it. The count is 3-1, and Larry looks down at third base coach Bill McKechnie for his instructions. The Indians have a 2-run lead, which they have in the 8th inning. Here it is. Swing and a miss. That was a pitch that missed the outside. Doby went after it. The count now is 3-2, and Larry is rubbing some dirt into his hands, as in the on-deck area, first baseman Eddie Robinson is limbering up. 3 balls, 2 strikes the count. Here's the payoff pitch. Strike 3, swinging. Potter struck out Doby. That's Larry's second strikeout, but he has 2 previous hits for a total of 3 bases. 2 men out for the Indians in the 8th inning, and Eddie Robinson, the first baseman, comes up. He walked in the second. He flied to left fielder Marv Rickard in the 4th inning, and in the 6th inning, he singled through the middle, but then on that circus catch by Tommy Holmes at the expense of Jim Hegan, Robinson, who was running at the time, was about 25 or 30 feet beyond second base and was easily doubled up. He's a big left-hander. The pitch, swing and a miss. Fastball. That was letter high. The count is 1 strike. The outfield straight away and deep. First baseman Earl Torgerson is almost on the edge of the right field grass. Potter is getting his sign from Phil Macy, the new catcher. The pitch, swing and a miss. They're not even coming close to Potter's delivery. Doby and Robinson have missed a couple of those screwballs and fastballs served up by a good 1.5 feet. 2 strikes the count. It's been some time since these players have seen Potter because he was released by the A's some time back. Here it comes. There's a ground ball hit hard to Stanky. Stanky throws to first, and Robinson goes out 4-3, second to first, as Potter retires the Indians in 1-2-3 order in the 8th. At the end of 7.5 innings of play, the score is Cleveland 3, Boston Braves 1. Believe me, folks, 49 cents goes a long way when you exchange it for a Gillette Tech razor and 5 Gillette Blue Blades. Yes, it buys a world of shaving comfort and satisfaction. You see, the Gillette Tech razor and Gillette Blue Blade are made for each other, so they fit exactly and work together perfectly. The Gillette Tech sets up whiskers as a barber does and sails through them like a breeze. A non-skid thread protects you from nicks and cuts. The blade is held rigidly. There's no edge vibration whatever. Also, the razor rinses clean instantly, can't clog or gum up. To enjoy smooth, refreshing shaves, ask for the modern Gillette Tech razor and 5 Gillette Blue Blades. you pay only 49 cents and get a whale of a value. In right field for Cleveland, as a defensive measure, presumably, Bob Kennedy has been sent. Kennedy is the owner of one of the best throwing arms in baseball, and that is probably the reason for his assignment by manager Lou Boudreau. He went to the Cleveland Indians in a trade from the Chicago White Sox in the same deal that involved pitcher Alan Gettle. Earl Torgeson will lead off for the Braves in the last half of the eighth inning in an effort to try to get to Bob Lemon. Lemon has been pitching great baseball. The only run against him in this contest is an unearned run, and he has a lead of 3-1. Torgeson singled in the first inning and then was picked off second. Strike called. As it developed, that pickoff saved Cleveland a run because it set the stage for the third out when Rickert fanned and Salkeld opened the second with a single that probably would have scored Torgeson had he been on second base. Lemon pitches. Ball 1-1, a fastball outside. The Cleveland outfield now is Bob Kennedy in right field, Larry Doby in center field, Dale Mitchell in left field. 1 ball, 1 strike. Torgeson stands up in the batter's box. The outfield is a little to the right. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. That was that sinker ball thrown by Lemon that broke low, and Torge swung over the top of it. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Billy Southworth is still doing the coaching at third, and Freddie Fitzsimmons is coaching at first base. Lou Boudreau calls to Kennedy, the right fielder, to move in about 2 paces. He's about 30 feet inside the line in right. The pitch, outside, 2-2. Lemon is giving the Braves nothing particularly good at which they can swing. He allowed 2 hits in only 1 inning, and it's interesting to note the Braves have not had an extra base hit in the series. Of their total of 8 hits, they have all been singles. Here's the windup. There's a drive to center for a base hit. A hard line drive. Doby stops it and holds it to 1 base. That's the first hit since Mike McCormick singled through the middle in the 6th inning. And it is the second hit for Torgeson in this game, giving him 2 out of 4 and 2 out of 6 in the series. Bob Elliott comes up. He drove in the Braves run with a single to left, right over the head of Keltner, his very first time up. Cleveland has started to warm up a couple of pitchers, Kleiman and Zoldak, I believe. 1 out of 3 Elliott has. He's a right-hander. There's the pitch to him, and it's a strike. The sidearm curveball called strike 1. That was letter high. Bob elected to take it. The Braves have the advantage of a fast base runner on first. 1 strike to count. In his first 18 attempts to steal a base this year, Torgeson succeeded. It was the 19th time that they picked him off. Lemon takes his stretch. He pitches in the dirt. It bounces in front of Hegan, but there's no base advance. Jim did well to block it. That had wild pitch written all over it, and it landed just to the left of the plate in the dirt, but Hegan blocked it with his mitt and his shin guards. He's a very courageous catcher. He handles the plate well, and he has a superb throwing arm. 1-1. Base runners seldom take liberties with his uncanny ability to throw that ball right at the second base bag. The Braves partisans are naturally stirred up over the possibility of a rally. The Braves trail Cleveland 1-3. 8th inning, none out. Torge on first. Strike called. A curveball, and he slowed up a little on Elliott. It wasn't a slow curveball, but he did change his pace. 1-2. The outfield is positioned to the left. Elliott has just the 1 hit in 6 times in the series. In this game, he is singled to left, struck out, and fouled to the catcher. 1-2. Lemon is ahead of him. There's the stretch. The pitch. There's a ground ball. It goes to Gordon. Gordon throws to Boudreau. That's 1. Boudreau to first. Double play. Torgeson tried to take Boudreau out with a block. Gordon fell to his face so that manager Lou could throw the ball over his head. And it's the second Cleveland double play of the ball game. It goes 4, 6 to 3, second to short to first. Gordon to Boudreau to Robinson. And that reduces the danger of a Boston rally in the 8th inning. So there are 2 men out. The 2 Cleveland double plays have come at a time when the doctor ordered. Marv Rickert, the batter, he has no hits in 3 trips. He's a left-hander, the player who was declared eligible as a result of the injury to Jeff Heath in Brooklyn. The outfield moves to the right. Here's the pitch. Strike called. 1 strike the count. 2 men out. 8th inning. As Lemon tries to secure his victory, he has a lead of 3-1. And he's pitched a very effective ball game. He winds up. The pitch. Ball 1. 1-1. That was a fastball. Lemon turns his back. 1 ball, 1 strike. It's expected that tomorrow's pitcher for Cleveland will be Gene Bearden. The outfield is set to the right. The delivery. There's a ground ball that goes to Eddie Robinson. He flips it to Lemon. Lemon steps on first for the put-out to retire the side. First base to pitcher. No runs. 1 hit. No errors. None left. Lemon has been all over the field with assists and put-outs and is threatening to approach a record. It seems doubtful that he will be able to make the grade. At the end of 8 innings of play, the score is Cleveland 3, Boston Braves 1. Lots of the players out there on the field are going to change from baseball uniforms to hunting clothes as soon as this series ends. And I guess plenty of you fans will be heading for the tall timber, too. Now, before you enter the woods this fall, paste these 4 simple rules of forest fire prevention in your hat. 1, crush out cigarette, cigar, and pipe ashes. 2, break matches in 2 after using. 3, drown all campfires, then stir and drown again. 4, know the law before using fire. 9 out of every 10 forest fires are man-made. Don't you be careless. Now we pause 10 seconds for station identification. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Your dial is set at 710, the spot for sports all year round. Your World Series station, WOR, New York.
Back at Braves Field in the first half of the 9th inning, Jim Hegan, the Cleveland catcher, will be first up. So far, Bob Lemon has had 8 chances, just 2 shy of the record. Here's the pitch to Hegan. Swing and a miss. Potter threw a curveball. Jim has flied to center. He was given an intentional pass, and then he lined into that double play. Cleveland leading 3-1, first half of the 9th inning, as the Indians battle to get back on even terms in the series. Here it comes. Swing and a miss. Screwball right in on the knuckles. This World Series, we're pleased to report, is being shortwaved to the armed forces overseas. 2 strikes the count. And all over the world rages the controversy. Will it be the Cleveland Indians or the Boston Braves? The pitch. There's a ground ball that goes to shortstop. Dark fumbles it, picks it up. There's the quick throw to first base, but not in time. Hegan reaches, and it is an error. That's the 3rd Boston error of the game. It was a hard ground smash, but it was right at Dark. Hegan on first base. Bob Lemon coming up with no hits in 3 trips, and the Braves are looking for the bunt. The applause starts, and then volume is added to it. Lemon tipped his cap, stepped into the batter's box. He deserves it. He's pitched a good game of baseball, and in many respects, a great game. The run not earned. Here's the pitch. Foul ball. He took a free cut at it. He didn't attempt to bunt, although 3rd baseman Bob Elliott came in on the grass, and 1st baseman Earl Torgeson acts as though he intends to defend against it. Meantime, he's holding Hegan close to the bag. Nels Potter on the mound is the 3rd of the Braves pitchers today. Warren Spahn started. Fred Barrett came on in the 5th, and Potter entered the game in the 8th inning. The stretch by Potter. The pitch. A missed bunt. Strike 2. Phil Macy looked at first base as though he wanted to throw down there in an attempt to try to pick Hegan off. But Stanky hadn't yet come over to cover first, and Torgeson was on his way to the plate in the event the bunt was successful. 2 strikes the count. Potter takes his stretch, delivers outside for a ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes. No one out in the ninth inning. Cleveland leading the Boston Braves by a score of 3-1. Tomorrow's activity will be in the huge lakefront stadium of Cleveland. There's a throw to first base, but Hegan was right on the bag. 1-2. Here it comes. That one just missed the outside corner, a curveball, and the count is 2-2. The Braves' fielding today has slipped. 3 errors. They've made 5 errors in the first 2 contests. But none has hurt so far in this one. The pitch. Outside. 3-2. It's something to hear Bill Summers call them. Today's crowd is just a little under yesterday's. The players' pool, however, may result in the largest World Series checks being distributed among the Braves and the Indians in this one because of the tremendous crowds the Cleveland Municipal Stadium is capable of accommodating. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Hegan is standing right on first base. Now he takes a 2 or 3 step lead, draws a throw, but there's no tag. Satchel Paige is warming up for Cleveland. There goes Hegan, and a foul ball brings him back. Hegan went all the way over to second, touched on the bag, has to return. He was running on a 3-2 count. Lemon hit 5 home runs during the regular season and batted .286. He used to be an infielder and an outfielder. He's left-handed and has a lot of power. He's as good a hitting pitcher as you'll find. 3-2, the payoff pitch coming up again. There goes Hegan. There's a ground ball that goes to Torgeson. He has only 1 play at first base. Hegan moving to second on the out. That is as good as a sacrifice as Torgeson gets an unassisted putout. Bobby Hogue, an apple-cheeked right-hander, is warming up for the Boston Braves. The leadoff batter, Dale Mitchell, up. He has 1 hit in this game. He scored the 3rd Cleveland run after singling to left in the 5th inning. He was bunted to second by Allie Clark, who then was playing right field, and manager Lou Boudreau banged a ground ball right through Spahn into center field. Potter delivers. Ball too high. Hegan has a lead of about 15 feet off second base. He lengthens it as the situation demands. 1 man out in the 9th inning. Cleveland leading 3-1. Potter pitches. There's a line foul down the left field line. The signal was given by the left field foul line umpire, Babe Pinelli. One of the spectators fell out of a field box. So anxious was he to get the souvenir ball, but the groundskeeper beat him to it. 1-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Manager Lou Boudreau yesterday predicted that Lemon would stop the Braves, and so far he has. The pitch. Strike 2, swinging. The screwball. Almost down in the dirt. 1-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Tomorrow's pitchers are likely to be Gene Bearden and Vernon Bickford. A left-hander, a right-hander. There's the pitch, and on the ground ball, Hegan goes to third base. The throw is from Stanky to Torgeson for the out, with Hegan taking the turn and holding up at third. Before he threw over to first base, Eddie Stanky stole a look at third base to be certain that Hegan wasn't too far around so that he could score on the throw to first. So Mitchell goes out, Stanky to Torgeson for the second out, and Bob Kennedy is up for the first time. He went into right field in place of Allie Clark in the 8th inning. He's a long ball hitter. A right-hander. In the dirt. Nice stop by Macy. That saved a run. He stopped that with his chest protector, got down on both knees, blocked it. 1 ball, no strikes. The Indians have 2 men out in the 9th inning, and they have a 3-1 lead. Here's the pitch. Strike called. 1-1. That was a fast curveball. The pitching mound now is entirely covered by the shadow of the top of the grandstand. Potter looks at third, winds up. He throws, and there's a fly ball to short right center field. Coming in fast for it. It drops for a base hit, a Texas leaguer, and it's 4-1 Cleveland. Neither Holmes nor McCormick could get it. A Texas leaguer into short right center field by Bob Kennedy drives in the 4th Cleveland run of the afternoon. Hegan scoring, and that run is unearned. 4-1 the Indians lead. as they are trying to wrap it up in the ninth. Kennedy on first base, 2 men out, and Lou Boudreau, the manager, is up. He has a double and a single, 2 out of 4. The pitch, there's a ground ball, a slow roller that goes to Elliott. Bob charges it, fires it over to first base, and Boudreau is out to retire the side. So in unearned runs, the two teams are even up. Each has one. Cleveland leaves the first half of the ninth inning with 1 run, 1 hit, 1 Boston error, 1 of 3, 1 runner left, and a lead of 4-1 for the Cleveland Indians. The Braves now face their last scoring opportunity, or what they hope will be, with Phil Macy, Mike McCormick, and Eddie Stanky. Macy entered the game as a pinch hitter for Bill Salkeld in the 6th inning, you'll recall. But whereas yesterday he was able to sprint all the way home hat in hand with a winning run, today he was able to get only as far as second, and then Stanky grounded into a short to second to first double play. Cleveland has made 2 twin kills in this contest. Macy has an interesting characteristic. After every pitch, almost without exception, he will step out of the batter's box, rub some dirt into his hands, knock the dirt out of his spikes with his bat, and then look in the direction of the third base coach, Billy Southworth, to see whether or not any special instruction is upcoming. It will be Macy, Mike McCormick, Eddie Stanky, unless Billy Southworth has a pinch hitter or 2 in mind. Jim Russell, we understand, is following these baseball broadcasts from his hospital bed in Pittsburgh. He was one of the Braves who could not play because of injury and illness. The other, Jeff Heath, is in the Boston Braves dugout. And their teammates miss them just as the Cleveland Indians are sorry Don Black can't be with them. A fastball, ball 1. 1 ball, no strikes. Macy's a right-handed batter. The outfield plays him around to the left, not too deep. Lemon toes the rubber, takes his usual windup, and he fires one. And there is a high pop-up, a foul ball to the right of the plate, and Hegan takes it. He was just about 35 or 40 feet down the first base line when he caught it for the first out. 1 man out. And Mike McCormick goes up. Eddie Stanky is in the on-deck area. Mike has 2 hits. He and Torgerson have 2 each, and the other 3 hits belong to Dark, Elliott, and Salkeld. The hits in the game are 8-7 in favor of Cleveland. Lemon delivers, close and fast, ball 1. Bob is pitching the best game he has pitched in about a month's time. 1 ball, no strikes. Here's the windup. A fastball for a called strike. That was just below the letters and right over the middle. 1-1. McCormick stands with a slightly close stance, not too deep in the box, and fairly close to the plate. Lemon is pitching very deliberately. The outfield is set to the left a bit. The pitch, foul tip, and that one hit Bill Summers in the left knee. And he groaned a little, did a slight jig to try to shake off the shock. And it wasn't nearly as funny to him as it was to some of the fans, I can assure you. In the meantime, Jim Hegan and Bob Lemon are having a little chat about the pitching tactics with Mike McCormick up on account of 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 Brave out in the 9th inning, and the score 4-1 in favor of the Cleveland Indians. It took the Indians 12 innings to dent the scoring ice in this World Series competition, but once they scored, they liked the habit, and they've scored 4 times as many runs as the Braves today. Lemon winds up. Here's the pitch. A high and wide one. 2-2. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Lemon just toes the rubber, waiting for his sign. Hegan is catching from a crouch. Here it comes. Foul ball. That was hit on the very butt end of the bat and sliced out beyond the dugout, down the first baseline. That's the Cleveland dugout, and it is extricated from the red, white, and blue bunting by the bat boy. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The Cleveland Indians are within 2 outs of their first victory in the series and an even footing as they go back home to the park in which they play half their games. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Lemon pitches, swing and a miss. He fires a fast sidearm pitch and strikes out Mike McCormick, Mike becoming the 5th Brave strikeout victim. And Eddie Stanky comes up. He's the last Brave with an opportunity to prolong it. 2 men out. Stanky has been at bat only once officially today. He came up in the 6th inning with runners on first and second and 1 out and hit into a Boudreau to Gordon to Robinson double play. The pitch, ball 1. If Stanky should get aboard, it is a certainty that there will be a pinch runner. 1 ball, no strikes. Eddie had a very serious fractured ankle in July and just recently returned. Here it comes. Ball 2, 2-0. Much of the strain is off Lemon because of the fact that Cleveland scored its 4th run in the 9th inning, which means that 2 base runners would have to reach before the tying run would walk to the plate. He winds up, pitches, strike called, 2-1. Eddie never bothered to remove his bat from his shoulder. He's a distracting influence on pitchers. You know, he holds the National League record for bases on balls in a single season. Foul ball, 2-2. And now Lemon is just 1 strike away from his baseball goal. He's one of several great pitchers who have made the switch from another position. 2 balls, 2 strikes the count. 2 men out in the 9th inning. Cleveland leading 4-1. Stanky the batter. The pitch. There's a drive that goes over the glove of Boudreau to left center field, and the ball is rolling all the way to the fence, and Eddie is gunning it to second base with a double. Stanky got to second. On a drive that went between left fielder Dale Mitchell and center fielder Larry Doby. And Billy Southworth is calling for a pinch runner. Ray Sanders is going to be a pinch hitter for Nels Potter. I don't see a pinch runner, although Southworth did make a motion in the direction of the dugout. So presumably Stanky is going to run for himself. Ray Sanders was declared eligible to replace Jim Russell. That's the Braves' first extra base hit, Stanky's double. Sanders, a left-hander, hits a ground ball right back to Lemon. Lemon runs over to first, flips the ball to Robinson, and is promptly swarmed by his mates as Cleveland wins the second World Series game by a score of 4-1 to draw up on equal terms with the Boston Braves. The final score, Cleveland 4 runs, 8 hits, 1 error. The Boston Braves 1 run, 8 hits, 3 errors. The winning pitcher, Bob Lemon. That's his 21st win of the year, his first in World Series competition. The losing pitcher, lefty Warren Spahn. And those who profess to be superstitious will be interested in the fact that this season, it's the 13th time he has been beaten. His first in World Series competition. And now, here to summarize and recapitulate the play and point out the high spots of this second World Series game is Mel Allen.
I think it was rather fitting that the ball game ended with Bob Lemon tossing out the last batter, because it was Bob Lemon all the way today. Bob Lemon, who got off to a rather shaky start, perhaps somewhat shaken by World Series jitters, being his first fall classic. We say perhaps, we don't know for sure. It may have been that his stuff wasn't working just the way he wanted it to. At any rate, he settled down after a couple of innings. The Braves got off to a 1-run lead in that first inning when Joe Gordon bobbled behind him after one was away on Dark's grounder. And then Earl Torgerson and Bob Elliott singled in succession, scoring Al Dark with the first run of the ball game and giving the Braves a wonderful opportunity to go way out in front, since it put runners also on first and second. But then came a play identical with one that the Indians attempted to execute on yesterday that failed by a whisker and resulted in the Braves' victory, and that is an attempted pickoff of a runner at second base. Yesterday, Macy was called safe at second when Feller attempted to pick him off. That was quite the talk throughout the evening and up until game time today. There were those who said the runner was out, those who said that he was safe. In any event, that runner scored, and the Braves won the ball game 1-0. Today, in the first inning, after one was in, Bob Lemon attempted the pickoff with Lou Boudreau, and it worked. They picked Torgerson off second base. Following that, Rickard struck out to end the inning, and if you'd like to speculate just a bit, had the pickoff play not occurred, Bill Salkeld, who opened up the last half of the second inning for the Braves, singled to start that inning. So if you care to speculate, it might have meant that the Braves would have had a big inning. But as it was, they got only one run. And then in the second inning, Bob Lemon saw two Braves get on when Salkeld singled and Stanky walked, but he settled down to get out of that inning. He had to work real hard. He found the first man getting on in the third inning, Al Dark, with a single. And then in the fourth inning, the first two men up for the Braves got on. Salkeld on a walk, Mike McCormick on a single. They were sacrificed to second and third by Stanky. But then it was that Bob Lemon bore down to get Warren Spahn on a bouncer back to the mound and Holmes on a fly ball to left. After that, Bob Lemon was in supreme control of the ball game, and in the only two instances in which he had a little bit of trouble, to the fore came that great double play combination of Joe Gordon, and Lou Boudreau to execute double plays in the sixth and eighth innings to get Bob Lemon out of subsequent jams. Meantime, the Indians finally got to Warren Spahn, the left-hander, who was attempting to emulate his pitching cohort, Johnny Sane, today. They got to him finally in the fourth inning when Lou Boudreau, the spark plug of the Indians, got the first extra base hit of the series, a double to right, scored on Joe Gordon's single to left, Gordon taking second on the throw to the plate, and then after Keltner had fouled out to Rickard in left, Larry Doby singled to right to score Gordon, put the Indians ahead 2-1. And then in the fifth inning, Dale Mitchell singled to left, was sacrificed to second by Allie Clark, and scored on Lou Boudreau's single to center. Again, Boudreau's name pops up, as it often will during the series. That was the end for Warren Spahn. Red Barrett came on and put out the fire, but the Indians were leading 3-1. Then in the ninth inning, Nelson Potter was doing the pitching for the Boston Braves. Hegan reached base on an error, moved to second and third on infield outs, and scored on Bob Kennedy's looping single to center field. That's the way the runs were scored, and the totals. The Cleveland Indians, 4 runs, 8 hits, 1 error. The Boston Braves, 1 run, 8 hits, 3 errors. And so the World Series is all tied up after the first 2 games, 1 victory each. The scene will shift now to Municipal Stadium, huge Municipal Stadium in Cleveland, and I know the fans out in that Ohio metropolis are anxiously awaiting the arrival of the 2 teams to see their first World Series since 1920. And fans, tomorrow's another day, and it'll probably be Gene Bearden, the left-hander who pitched the Indians to the pennant in the playoff game against the Red Sox with but 1 day's rest, going against Vern Bickford, the rookie right-hander of the Boston Braves. And so tomorrow's another day, and Gillette's Cavalcade of Sports will be back on the air promptly at 12:45 Eastern Standard Time to report the 3rd game of the 1948 World Series for you, play-by-play from Municipal Stadium, Cleveland. And just one more note, if memory serves me correctly, that is the first World Series game that a Boston Braves team has ever lost. At any rate, until tomorrow at 12:45, until then, smooth sailing, smooth shaving, and good afternoon from your host, the Gillette Safety Razor Company, Jim Britt, and yours truly, Mel Allen.